McClure takes his maiden Speed GT victory. Sensational stuff. And here's our race winner, 2 from 2. Congratulations to Phil McClure. Phil McClure has battled and beaten the German factory teams twice this year in the Speed GT Championship. But the scene now shifts to the tight confines of Lime Rock Park, a circuit where McClure had a serious moment 2 years ago. 3 in a row is a tall order in any championship. We'll see if Phil McClure can make it happen. Next on Speed. There may have been 2 months between Sebring and Mosport, but now the SCCA Speed GT Championship is in full swing. This is round 3 from Lime Rock in Connecticut. Hello, I'm Lee Diffie along with Johnny O'Connell, and welcome to the beautiful surrounds of Lime Rock Park here in northwestern Connecticut. Beautiful surrounds, but not just a great day, and that's going to make it difficult for the drivers. Johnny, welcome, good to see you again. 2 months, it was virtually a holiday at the start of the year between the opening round in Sebring and Mosport, but now the pressure's on, only 7 days since the Canadian race.
It really has been a long layoff for them, but for a lot of teams, it gave them the opportunity to play catch-up, and we saw that at Mosport. The teams were much closer. Now as we get into Lime Rock, different challenges, because especially for teams like Champion, who had a very difficult Mosport, engine problems, handling problems, they had very little time to change their cars, get them ready for this event. So I think we're going to see a lot of challenges facing these teams, but so far it looks like the Audi guys have answered the call. Both cars are going real good, and this certainly is their type of weather.
Huge contrast between last weekend and this weekend, the wide open expanses and high speed circuit at Mosport, and this place is kind of like a bull ring, isn't it?
Very tiny. You know, I first came to Lime Rock growing up in Connecticut when I was about 5 years old, and to a 5-year-old this place seems huge, but man, having raced here, this is one of the smallest racetracks these guys are going to be on all year, even smaller than street circuits. So it's going to place a lot of emphasis on those teams that have a good handling car, but also as a driver being technical, especially when we have wet, cold conditions like this. We've seen the Corvette so far dominate because it's got good handling in the dry, it's got a strong horsepower engine, but on a circuit like this, especially in wet weather like this, I think we may see the Audis take control and finally show what they can do.
Speaking of Phil McClure and his Corvette, we caught up with some of the other competitors to find out what it's like being on the wrong side of those 2 Corvette victories.
3R Racing, they've done a fantastic job. Phil McClure is a great driver. You know, it's one of those deals that I think they got the tires early on to develop.
He's a good driver. He's got a proven car, a proven program. We just have to do a better job. We will beat them, and we will beat them good over and over as time goes on here.
Now this year we have a Toyo RA1, which is more of a racing tire, and the Corvette loves it, and all of a sudden all the hard work they've done has come to fruition.
We're very happy with the progress we've made, and we're not standing still. GM gave us some test time on a shaker facility, and we learned quite a bit between Sebring and Mosport. So we're going to keep after it.
And there he is on the line, the man that everyone has been talking about after the first 2 rounds this year, Phil McClure and his 3R Racing Corvette. It has been the car to beat, but will that continue today? Johnny and I will talk about more in a moment. First of all, though, let's look at the finer points of this 1.5 mile circuit.
Yeah, Lee, like I mentioned earlier, this racetrack is very tiny, and the majority of the passing that we're going to see is going to be going into Big Bend, turn number 1. It's a decreasing radius, actually has a double apex, and it's tricky to get through. The S's and no-name straightaway, that's going to be single file stuff. S's, as a matter of fact, the left-hander there is the only left-hand corner on the whole straightaway. But what's critical is the turn 5 uphill run, the West Bend turn number 6, and especially the downhill turn 7. It's your fastest corner on the racetrack. Very little runoff at the exit of it. Dangerous, but if you get it right, it'll be great for a run down into turn 1.
Time to take a look at how they will line up today at Lime Rock, and some history here, folks, as far as the Speed GT Championship is concerned. For the first time ever, an Audi clean sweep on the front row. Randy Popst, our 3rd different pole sitter this year, starts alongside his teammate and former champion Michael Gallardi. Michael Culver here at his local track, that is his best ever Speed GT starting position, and Boris Said is the best of the PTG BMWs. Back on row 3, John Young. Will he be as strong today? It was a dynamic drive at Mosport. We'll see if he can do that again today. Hans Stuck, consider this. He started from the pit lane at Sebring, and he started 11th at Mosport. It's the highest we have seen the Austrian. Let's see what he can do today. Jimmy Adams, he'll be pleased with that starting performance. That's one of his higher efforts. And Rob Fellows has been struggling in his Ford Mustang in the wet. He'll be glad to see these drier or drying conditions. David Farmer will start along the championship points leader. Phil McClure starts from 10. He started from 9 in Mossport and still barged his way through to take that second consecutive win. Will he make it 3 today? We'll find out. Back on row 6, Mike Fitzgerald did have a testing accident here earlier in the week and has not exactly been a great lead up to this weekend's race, but we'll see what he can come up with in his Porsche. And the new boy, Justin Marks, doing well in the Team PTG BMW. Thoughts on today, going into this? Will we see McClure get 3 from 3?
You know what? I say right now the odds are against it. What was interesting is that when we had qualifying this morning, the racetrack was very wet. Now, with the wind picking up, things have dried out. I think that works to the advantage of a guy like John Young, whose car has been awesome. And you talk to all the competitors, and they say Young is strong, and that Ford engine is just like been on fire. So they're doing a great job, but you know, it'd be interesting to see how the Audis respond to him.
You'll notice there Bill Auberlen starts right at the back of the pack. We'll talk more about in a moment. Let's get down to the grid. Here's Brian Till with our pole man.
Well, Randy Pope starts from the pole for the 7th time in his Speed World Challenge career. But Randy, every session's been different weather-wise. You got to roll the dice for setup?
Well, you know what? When you got an Audi Quattro underneath you, you got a lot of traction. The Champion RS6 has been the key to getting the pole today in the rain this morning. It's also very good in the dry. The less traction there is, the better the Quattro is. We have more traction, so it's going to be more of an even race now. But the Champion team has worked very hard to make this Audi a super race car, and I'm ready to get going now.
He is ready to get going. He's got the belts down. You talk about gambling. A lot of people would have bet you would have seen an Audi front row long before now. Michael Galati has finally gotten the monkey off of his back. He's starting outside pole. Bill Auberlen, their pole sitter from Mossport, he's hurting. He's back in 25th. It should be a great race. Lee?
We've seen Auberlen storm through the field before. We will watch for that again today. Audi have their first pole position of the Speed GT Championship history. We'll see if they can convert it to their first ever win. Stick around.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by BMW. Visit your local BMW centre for a test drive. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Welcome back to Lime Rock as the cars grid up. This one should be good. And the pressure is on the front row sitters. Michael Galati, Randy Popst. Can they finally convert a good starting position into a win? We saw them up the front, Johnny, at Mossport. As we ride now with Michael Galati. We saw them up front at Mossport. Randy ran off the track. Michael again ran into problems. This could be their day.
It could be, but you know, the thing that worries me is that it's 42 laps that they're running today. And we've seen them run strong. They run strong for about 10 laps, but then either the overheating problem has caught them out or the understeer. And when I was watching them running on Friday, you could see them through Big Bend really fighting getting that car turned in. The cars that looked great were the PTG BMW. So we're on board now with Hans. You know, look for him, look for Boris. They're going to be real strong. Billy Auberlen, like we mentioned, starting in the back. That's going to be an exciting run for him. But it's going to be interesting. I really want to see John Young. He's been one of the strongest drivers, some really fast laps at Sebring and Mossport, and he's showing the same type of potential here.
Jim Rathman in his Chevy Corvette carrying one of our cameras again. There on the right-hand side of your screen, the red, black and white PTG BMW of Bill Auberlen. He's done it here before, and we saw him do it at Mossport. It was a great drive where he had to come in for a stop and go for jumping the start. Let's see what he can come up with here today. The time board will switch momentarily, and we will have round 3 of the SCCA Speed GT Championship underway. Randy Popst on the left of screen. Randy's the yellow. Michael Galati in the red. We wait for the lights to go out. Here we go now. Those Audis we know launch off the line brilliantly. Let's see who fills in, and look at the gap they've got already. We ride with Galati.
You know, Mike made a great start there, but we've seen it every race this year. Those Audis, for some reason or another, it's got to be the Quattro. They pull 3-4 car lengths right at the start. So really, I think what's going to be Boris's game plan here, let those two run for a while. I mean, the smarter drivers are going to be patient. The guys that can't be patient is Bill Auberlen. If he's right now, he's sitting 3rd in the championship. He's going to have to get to the front as quickly as he can.
We'll update you momentarily on Bill Auberlen's progress as the field wind up the no-name straight. the uphill section. Very steep, but it's only a short incline. And here comes Bill Auburn already from 25th. He makes his way through the field. There's his teammate Justin Marks further up.
Yeah, you know, and we watch him come up that rise there. It really doesn't do justice, TV, as to how critical that is and how big an elevation change is. Used to be in the old Trans Am cars, GTP cars, you could actually pull wheelies going over there. These cars, I don't think, have the aerodynamics to do that, as we see Young making a move on the outside of Boris. Again, I think a lot of that might be that horsepower everyone's talking about. Boris fighting back.
Look at this side-by-side. Boris set on John Young. And Boris gets there. Moves up into third. He's got the two Audis, and Galati has run wide. Has run very, very wide in the left-hander. So that's allowed Boris to close in and Randy Pope perhaps to escape.
Well, and you saw Young also get out of shape there. You know, remember, these guys haven't had a whole lot of laps to bring their tires up to temperature and all that. It looks, we got Hans pulling off. That is actually at the chicane at the end of the uphill there. So Hans obviously with a bad problem. But right now everyone's tires aren't up to temperature, so they're fighting for grip. And it was lucky for Boris that Young did get out of shape there, because it looked like he was taking a run at him.
That's a real shame. Hans Stuck qualified well in 6th and has come to a halt. Here we have Randy Pope's Michael Galati. We ride with Michael now. There's his teammate Randy up ahead, heading down into Big Ben. Behind, as Boris said, John Young, Michael Culver in the Porsche running in the top 5. He's having a brilliant weekend so far. And already Bill Auburn has made up 15 positions and is in 10th after just 2 laps.
Doing a great job. You know, he had a problem in qualifying, and they really weren't sure what it was. They went out into qualifying. It was great conditions, and they went with a dry setup. And Billy just said it was undrivable, very difficult. You can see him running a very wide line here. You know, another thing, we talked about Lime Rock. As we watch the corners, look at the pavement, and you can see how on your normal racing line, you see a lot of concrete laid in there. And that makes it so slippery. As we see Billy making a move into the uphill.
That's tight. Jimmy Adams immediately ahead. Can't quite get Jimmy right there, but it's only a matter of time. Auburn is on the charge.
He's doing everything he can do to put pressure on him. But, you know, those first passes, you know, as you're working through a field are easier. This is better, and a beautiful out-braking maneuver there going into the downhill turn 7.
It's a little bit of a mystery as to what happened to Bill in qualifying. He said the car just wasn't handling. It was a real handful. But they couldn't seem to find anything wrong with it.
They couldn't, you know, it's probably that it was just a dry setup on a very wet, slippery track. All these guys have complained about how slippery Lime Rock is in the wet.
And look at this, Boris said is climbing all over Michael Galati. This battle will get better and better. Stick around as one of our cars takes a rather alternative line. We'll be back. You're watching round 3 of the Speed GT Championship. While we're away, John Young in his Saleen Mustang has got ahead of Team PTG BMW driver Boris Said. So it's still Randy Pope's car 2 leads the way, and this is now the vacated car of Hans Stuck. There's Hans. Problems have brought him to a halt out on the circuit. That's the end of his 3rd race of the year. Only his 2nd in what is a brand new BMW M3, prepared by Tom Milner's Prototype Technology Group. And the day's over for one of the best sports car drivers in the world.
You know what? It's bad luck for Hans. But one of the things, PTG is one of the premier race car preparers, especially for BMWs in North America. Actually, you could say the world. They do an amazing job. But they got these cars late. So after Sebring, they did some testing at VIR. They improved the package. But again, you know, when you're running 4 cars, that's a big workload for everyone. They got a beautiful team, a great effort. But I think right now they're still going through some teething stages, and they're probably trying different things on different cars, so that this whole season is going to be a learning effort for them.
Fastest time of the race so far belongs to John Young. He is the only driver in the 56-second bracket. Make that 2 now. Bill Auburn joins him as well. So those 2 guys are flying. That Saleen looks to be unstoppable as they're already amongst traffic. This is where it gets difficult.
It really does, and you know, that's the difference between the guys with a lot of experience like Randy Pope's, all the stuff that he's done in the ALMS. He's used to working in traffic. Galati, all these guys. Young, though, boy, I tell you, that Saleen looks strong, and he's really, you know, he's getting through the downhill turn 7, the corner that you're watching right now, so cleanly and able to take advantage of all that horsepower.
Whoa! Car 10 off, and John Young's gone as well. Wow. Carol Holfelder and John Young, look at that. That Saleen is done for today. A massive impact for John Young. right when he was on the charge and pressuring for a top 2 spot.
You know, I think he might have been pushing too hard in traffic. I'm guessing that there might have been contact there. We should get a replay.
It's a little hard to tell from there, Johnny, isn't it?
It is very difficult. You know, but again, one of the problems of Lime Rock, almost any other racetrack, here we go, yeah. It looks like Young was coming underneath. Carol Hallfelder, you know, probably didn't have, either wasn't aware of him or whatever, but there was contact between those two. And it doesn't, you know, you're going through that corner so fast, it takes very little pressure to get your car to lose control and go flying off. It's bad luck for Young. That car was going really well, but...
Well, we have a full course caution here at Lime Rock Park. Our thoughts are with John Young and Carol Hallfelder. Let's hope they're both okay. Fairly big impact on the outside of turn 1. We'll be back. Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. You're watching Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship. We're still under full course caution, and it's been a fairly eventful start to this 3rd round. Let's take a look at what happened to one of the BMW favourites, Hans Stuck. This is on board with Hans early in the race on the opening lap. And David Farmer in the 35 car in the Corvette right in front. Hans gets into the rear right, and immediately you can see sustains a little bit of damage to the front of his BMW. He begins to slow instantly. And that's not the end of the trouble, though, as the remainder of the field start to go past Hans Stuck. We ride with Jim Rathman now. Rathman gets into the side of Tim Weens, and who's off to the right there? Yes, Hans Stuck. So perhaps one, Johnny, was his fault, the other, not his fault. Let's get down to Brian Till. He is with Hans Stuck.
Well, Hans, obviously not the way you wanted to start this race, but we came here to race cars, not box. It looked like a lot of contact out there.
That's right. I was on the wrong spot today with my BMW M3. I mean, I got hit twice. But the one was the Corvette, Farmer, I think was his name. It just ran into me. And then I had to slow down because my steering broke right away. And then a Porsche hit me in the side. And that was it, you know. But I think Monday's going to be a better day.
A lot of disappointment for Hans Stuck, especially for a former champion like him. He wishes he was out there late.
Yeah, tough break for him as we get ready for green after that very heavy hit for John Young. Here we go. Look at those Audis accelerate, and Bill Aublin immediately jumps out of the line.
Well, you know, this is Billy's opportunity. He's come from the back before at Lime Rock 2 years ago and won a race. So he's going to try to be doing the same thing today. Interesting thing on the start, I don't know whether you noticed it, but when we were on board with Galati, you noticed Randy Post getting the brake with the left hand as he was left foot and then going to the throttle to bring up his boost. That gave him a big jump. You can see he's already opened out 4 or 5 car lengths.
And Aublin was quick from the get-go to get past Culver and Phil McClure in the Corvette. So that was a very, very effective restart for Bill Aublin. He's come from 25th to 6th. Actually, make it 5th now. Mike Fitzgerald having a strong run in the Porsche as well, putting in some very good lap times. A 56.7, his best so far. That's pretty quick. McClure now looks at the inside of Aublin, not quite close enough.
Taking a peek and just trying to put a little pressure on Bill. Let him know that, okay, you got me on the start, but I'm still here. I'm not going away. Phil has shown that that Corvette is strong. It handles really well. Whoa, as he goes wide
Does
there.
it handle well in the dirt?
And you know what? And that's one of the things about Lime Rock. There is no runoff room. I mean, you look around the rest of the country, and the racetracks are giving you a lot of room to run off, to fall off. Lime Rock is dangerous. You fall off, you hurt cars. We've seen a couple cars today get hurt that really on most racetracks around the country, there wouldn't have been a problem.
Mike Fitzgerald, he is right there in a sandwich between an Audi and a BMW. Boris said, applying plenty of pressure. Mike is currently 7th in the championship points. Had a great start to the year in Sebring, but not such a good run at Mossport in Canada just a week ago. But look at these PTG BMWs and the teammates now, side by side. Bill Aublin is through on Boris said.
Yeah, and a beautiful pass there by Bill. And you don't know whether there's team orders on any of these deals or not. Oh, there's Galati off.
Into the tire barrier. Michael Galati, was he helped? We'll have to look at a replay.
Boy, his bad luck continues. I mean, every single race this year, Mike, our champion, has been having bad luck, and you know that's an unlikely place for him to go off. Whether or not he got helped or not, we're gonna find out.
Damage to the front of the RS6. Let's have a look at the replay.
Fitzgerald taking a look inside, and you know what, that was never gonna happen. And that, you know, going into West Bend there, whew, it's a one-car deal, and you know, I don't know what Fitzgerald was thinking, but really not fair.
And there it is there. You saw the fronts lock up on the Porsche of Mike Fitzgerald. And then he got into the back of Michael Galati and sent him grass tracking for a moment.
You know, you have a caution like that, Lee, sometimes, and guys get, you know, they get feeling antsy. And also when you see that Randy's pulling away, you want to get back into the fight and all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult, but you have to be patient, and that really just showed no, you know, really consideration for Mike and the job he was doing. Not a good thing.
Ryan Tell, can you add to this?
Lee, I'm down here talking to the crew, Galati's crew, and they said exactly that. I said, what happened? They said, it's real simple. He got put off. Fitzgerald said, Galati called in on the radio. I said, he punted me, guys.
Well, not only was the pressure there that Randy Popes was starting to skip away, but he's looking in the mirror and seeing a red, white and black PTG BMW coming in very, very fast. This has been an amazing run from Bill Auberlen. So it's Audi, Porsche, BMW, the German giants lead this one. It's been an all-American muscle championship so far, but the Germans are running strong. Welcome back to Lime Rock. You watch round 3 of the Speed GT Championship, and this has been our closest race of the year. Now, some 16 laps into this one, you've got Randy Popes, our pole sitter for Audi, for the champion Audi team, leading the way from Mike Fitzgerald. Then it's Bill Auberlen, Boris Said, who we ride with right now, and championship points leader Phil McClure in the Corvette, running a strong 5th.
You know, and Phil's done a great job to get up there, but Billy in 3rd is looking great. The only thing that Popes has working for him is that Audi gets down the straight very, very quickly. Right now, when we watch him go into the tighter sections of the racetrack, though, big bend, the left-hander, right-hander, number 4, that's where you see Fitzgerald and the BMWs and the Corvette get all over him. So it's going to be interesting. We're only 17 laps into this thing. As the race gets longer, that Audi's front tires are going to go off, and it's going to be more and more difficult for him to keep everyone behind him.
And it looks like it's only a matter of time until we see a BMW in 2nd spot. Take nothing away from Mike Fitzgerald, but the storming drive of this race so far belongs to Bill Auberlen. Your updated running order at the top of your screen. Fitzgerald has the fastest lap at a 55.5. And just to update you on Michael Galati, teammate to our race leader Randy Popes, after being helped off the track from Fitzgerald, he is back in 13th position.
I'm sure
catching up to
and I'm sure totally frustrated. It's funny, a lot of times you get put off like that, you get angry, you can come through the field pretty hard. But we see, you know, we saw the last lap. That Randy gets a good run down the straightaways. Fitzgerald, well, I tell you what, if I'm Randy, I know what happened to Mike. I'm worried about having him behind me. But, you know, Randy down the straightaway can open up that gap enough that these guys can't take a run on him going into the Big Bend here. Billy, on the other hand, he looked like he's taking a beautiful move on the outside.
Around the outside, Bill Auberlen now goes from 25th to 2nd. This has been an amazing run. They're coming up, I think it's on the Morgan. Yes, it is. They get by Tom Holfelder. He hugs the inside line, and our top 5 goes sweeping on by. Well, this is it. The pressure is on Randy Popes now. Boris Said gives us a great viewpoint from 4th, looking at Mike Fitzgerald's Porsche. There is no stopping Bill Auberlen today after a mysteriously bad qualifying performance where he wasn't happy with the handling of the car. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that M3 now.
Not at all. I mean, he's dialed. He was looking great yesterday, watching him through the corners and Big Bend, the tight stuff. He's really good. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can stay with the Audi through the downhill turn right here, now turn 7, so they can make a run on Randy going into turn 1. The thing is, Randy's smart. He's probably going to move to an inside line, protect himself. Getting by a guy like Randy Popes, even though he's slower in the corners, is going to be difficult. Billy's probably going to have to make an outside move and try to get around him on the outside somewhere.
Tucking in tight. The Californian sits nicely. The PTG BMW group have yet to score a podium this year in the Speed GT Championship. Well, they're certainly running strong today. We ride again with Boris Said, teammate to Auberlen. Hans Stuck is already out of this one if you've just joined us, and the new youngster to the PTG crew, Justin Marks, running back in 7th position at the moment. Some 11.5 seconds behind our leading, well, what? Group of 5.
Yeah, these guys,
a tight bunch.
These guys are running real tight. But what's so cool, and you know, in so many ways, racing is like chess. You know, you have to really think about stuff. And Randy is smart enough to know that he has got the straight line speed. So all he has to do is make sure he gets off that last corner, turn 7, faster than anybody else, and they're not going to be able to pass him, although Billy's taking it on the inside now.
Gotcha. New race leader for the first time today, Bill Auberlen, from last on the grid to 1st.
Well, he went and made me look stupid. Now, you know what? If I was Randy, I'd have totally protected that inside line, because had he done that, and he's in his right to do that, there's no way Bill would have been forced to go around the outside. He left the door open. Billy saw it and went for it.
Let's take a look at a replay of that big move for the lead. And I'll tell you what, look at Bill Auberlen. He's already gapped Randy Pobst. He is disappearing through the uphill turn. Steeper section on this circuit through West Bend. This is where we saw Mike Fitzgerald have contact with Michael Ghilardi. The skid marks are still there in the dirt from Ghilardi's Audi RS6. When he contacted the tyre wall, he's been able to continue.
You know, you have to have handling. And right now, the BMWs are handling really, really well, particularly in Big Bend, right where they're coming up to, turns 1 and 2. You'll see him make a lot of ground up on the Audi there. You know, you always love to have horsepower, especially on a racetrack like this where you can defend yourself pretty effectively, but good handling at Lime Rock pays dividends. And right now for Bill Auberlen, coming from last to first, boy, he's looking like a superstar.
Now let's take a look at that replay for the lead. Watch to the left of your screen. Talk us through, Johnny.
You know, Billy got a good run coming down turn 7, but you can see it's not like he's real close to him. But look at how much Randy opened up the door. That's where that pass got made. If I'm Randy Pobst, I'm entering that corner, the middle of the racetrack or to the right of the racetrack. Make it hard on Bill. He didn't do that, and right now he's paying the price.
Bill Auberlen now with his nose in front, and will try and gap these guys. He's making good progress at the moment. He's almost a second ahead of Randy Pobst already. And Jim Rathman runs into problems. More after this.
Giveaway makes a great gift.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by the United States Army, an army of one, and by Audi. In technology, performance and design, our goal remains constant. Never follow.
Welcome back to Lime Rock, folks. Lee Diffie with Johnny O'Connell, Brian Till down in the pits. We ride with Boris Said looking at Randy Pobst. And where is Mike Fitzgerald? He must be behind Boris. So the second PTG BMW now making good, strong progress. Look up ahead the road. You can see, well, you can't even see from that shot. Bill Auberlen has said bye-bye to these guys. He has now put 5 seconds on them in the last few laps. So Auberlen, there he is there, your race leader going into Big Bend. And here's second, third, fourth, and fifth. And McClure is all over Mike Fitzgerald, the championship leader, the man that's gone 2 from 2 so far. It does not look like he will get the hat trick today.
It's not looking good. And here's the thing. Randy right now is improved his defensive driving, so to speak. So he's holding everyone back there, and it's giving Billy an opportunity to get by.
This is the replay for the pass for third. Boris Said draws alongside Mike Fitzgerald, puts the squeeze on him down into turn 1, and gets by. Nice move, Boris.
Yeah, and you can see the nice wrinkle marks on his left front tire from where he punted Mike Ghilardi there. He got a nice close-up of that. But right now, I mean, Boris really has to take advantage of this traffic, and if he can, get a run on Randy. Right now, Randy's holding up everyone. I'm certain that if they could all get by Randy, they'd all be able to run as quick as Auberlen is right now. But boy, I tell you what, saying it and achieving it is two different things.
Looking further back, Michael Ghilardi, just to update you, is running in 12th position after being as high as second. There was an earlier contact between he and Mike Fitzgerald. Brian Till, tell us more about Ghilardi.
Well, Lee, the damage to Ghilardi's car is more than cosmetic. You got to understand that the splitters on these GT cars are very effective up in the front. His is now gone. He's lost front downforce, which means he's lost front grip. He's going to keep cooking those front tires. The other thing you'll notice when you look at that car, the air coolers for the brake system are hanging underneath the car. It's a really heavy car, and the brakes are going to be susceptible to heat anyway. Without ducting to them, brakes around this racetrack, they're going to wear fast. Michael Ghilardi is not driving a car that he wants to be driving right now.
Thanks for that, Brian. Just an update. We have had word that Mike Fitzgerald has spun in his 3R Racing Porsche out on the circuit whilst running in 4th position. He had his teammate Phil McClure, the championship leader, right behind. We're unsure at this stage what happened to Mike, but it has been costly. Let's have a look at the replay. This is what we have. This is the tail end of the incident. What can you make from that?
You know, boy, it's really hard. I mean, they're working through traffic. Maybe he came down on someone, but he also had McClure behind him. So I wouldn't be surprised if McClure didn't help him out of the way at all. They are teammates, so, you know, they can settle it back at the transporter. But, you know, right now he's falling back. He's in 6th or 7th position now. And but this is the opportunity, you know, for Boris. Now he's got a little less pressure on him. Hopefully he's going to be able to find a way around Randy Pobst there in second.
We ride again with Boris. Let's take a listen. That's got to be thrilling coming down off that hill there, Johnny. I mean, it looks like you're going to hit the top of your head on that bridge overhead, and then it drops away down into...
Funny thing is, first time you do that, and I think everyone does this, as you go underneath that bridge, you duck. And so, but we got a problem here.
Victor Contreras, he's got a flat rear left.
That's not the tire you want to be flat here either. As you see that beautiful Dodge Viper come up behind him there. We haven't seen much of him today, but a new car debuting here today.
Look at Boris Said. He gives Randy Pobst a little bit of a love tap. He is all over Randy.
And he's got to do that. I mean, because right now Randy's doing a great job of defending himself, and a little tap like that just to get him 2-3 feet offline. Now, Boris is a professional. He's not going to do what Fitzgerald did, but he is going to do a little bit to try to open up that door a little bit, give him an opportunity to get by. Because right now, unless he gets that killer run or the Audi gets stalled going down the hill, it's going to be hard for him to get by.
Credit for Phil McClure. He's hanging in there. He's staying with them. Let's update you on what happened to Victor Contreras. We have a replay of an earlier situation that led to him with that flat rear, and Jimmy Adams involved in that one as well.
Again, late in the deal to find out, you know, that's going into Big Bend, turns 1 and 2. You don't know whether he got helped out or not, but that tire departed rather quickly there. And back on board Boris, and it looks like he got by the Audi, so super job for Boris. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to make any time up on Bill. Billy, though, I think is checked out. Unless we get a full course caution, it's Oberlin's race to win.
At the moment, the gap from first to second is 7.9 seconds. So Bill Auberlin has kept that foot down. Now let's see what Phil McClure can come up with. In the Aggregate Industries 3R Racing Corvette, our points leader, and the 22 machine, Mike Fitzgerald, has come to a halt. Welcome back to Lime Rock. You're looking at Bill Auberlin in the PTG BMW M3, our race leader, and he is doing it comfortably, some 8.2 seconds in the lead over his teammate. Boris Said this is the strongest run as far as positions for the PTG outfit so far this year. Auberlin had a storming drive at Mossport after starting from the pole, though he jumped the start. He rolled a little too far and was penalised with a stop and go. He worked his way all the way back to 4th. It was a very impressive drive, but not quite as impressive as this. He's come from 25th all the way into the top spot. There's Michael Gallardi now behind our race leader, well and truly. He has worked his way up, though, back up into the top 10 after being in second, and Mike Fitzgerald hit him fairly forcefully, Johnny, you would say.
Yeah, it was really bad luck for him, and, you know, I hate seeing drivers do that kind of stuff. You know, Randy Pobst and Boris, they had a good race going together, and, you know, Boris running second now. That he's cleared Randy. It's running close to the same times as Bill. So should we get a full course caution or something, I think between those two, you're going to see some good racing. Phil McClure, who's running in 4th, hasn't been able to run the same pace that the BMWs have been. So I don't know whether if he gets up there, whether he'll be able to make an opportunity of trying to make it 3 in a row and enter the history books with Fitzgerald and Pobst, the guys that have won 3 before. But, you know, still a couple laps to go. We'll find out.
We take a look now at Randy Pobst holding off Phil McClure. There's a comfortable gap there. And the Audi maintaining 3rd position. Brian, what do you have for us?
Well, I spoke with Kevin Wheeler, who's the crew chief for Randy Pobst. He said, you know, the car's not bad. Randy hadn't complained about it. It's got a little bit of push through the inside part of the track, but nothing more than we really had all weekend. I looked at him and said, you wish it rained, didn't you? And he said, absolutely, we wish it was raining.
You know, that's a good point. I mean, because you talk to the guys, you know, Randy and Mike Gallardi, they're just having a hard time getting that car to turn. You know, you know, for those that don't know, understeer is when you turn the steering wheel and the car's not responding to that steering input. So you can't stay tight with your lines, and it prevents you from going into the throttle. So, you know, we saw it right there when Randy was out there holding up Billy and the rest of the guys. He'd open up the gap down the straightaway, get to the corners. If you can't get through that corner quick, people just start eating you up. And right now, it's a funny thing because understeer, if it starts out a race and it's bad, as the race goes on, you chew up those front tires more and more and more. It just gets worse as the race progresses. He's done a great job keeping McClure back there, but whether or not he's going to be able to keep him back there till the end of the race will be interesting to see.
Johnny, we're looking at the 2 guys who have been on the podium twice this year. Obviously, McClure with 2 wins, Randy Pobst with 2 third places. our viewers may have noticed on the windshield, just to the left-hand side there, or driver's right, there's some numbers, and it says plus 40 for Randy Pope, says plus 80 for Phil McClure. That's the reward weight that's been allocated to these cars. How much extra do you feel that? Do you notice it as a driver? Does it have an impact on the car? I mean, McClure's carrying an extra 80 pounds.
To give you an idea is just how important weight is. I mean, in the cars that I drive or prototypes, you know, they'll spend a ton of money to lose 10 pounds. You know, in our you know, the Corvette we use in the American Le Mans series, you know, adding 10, 15 pounds for driver cooling, that's a big thing to engineers. So when you start carrying weight, and it's funny, you know, I almost laugh when you say their reward is 80 pounds. I mean, that's you won the race, but man, you get penalized, because it really does. It makes a difference to how your car stops, how it goes through the corners, how it brakes, but also how it wears on your tires and your brakes. So it really is a lot, but it's one of the neat things about Speed World Challenge GT Racing, in that it means parity. And as we get towards the end of the season, you know, you're going to see a lot of cars with weight, but the racing always is going to be close.
Well, Tom Milner, the principal and owner of Prototype Technology Group, PTG, will be thrilled at the moment. He has the top 2 positions in this race, and his new young driver, Justin Marks from San Francisco, is in the top 5. So 3 of his 4 cars are in the top 5. It's a strong day for the BMWs. We'll have plenty more in this doubleheader weekend. The Speed GT Championship continues.
And order your favorite premium channels today.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. You're looking at the battle for 3rd place, and it intensifies. Phil McClure is starting to give Randy Pope a pretty heavy workout.
He's all over him now. I mean, if you can stay with him, get a good run down the downhill, you know, that Corvette is one of the few cars that I think might be able to outpower that Audi down the main straightaway. As we look back from Mike Galati, though, this is going to be interesting to see whether or not Mike is going to get himself positioned so that he can help Randy hold off our leader in the championship right now, Phil McClure.
Mike Galati, if you've just joined us, teammate to Randy Popst, is back there due to an off-track excursion right here. Very fast section of this 1.5-mile Lime Rock Park circuit. And there's our points leader. 2 wins from 2 races so far. McClure is fighting for a podium spot. He thinks about it on the inside.
That was a mistake. That was a mistake, because I would have held back there. I mean, going up against another fast driver, it's real hard to get him in the downhill turn number 7. I'd have held back to try to get a run on him coming into this area, turn 1.
You're looking at Randy Popst in the background there. We ride with Michael Galati. And he needs to give his teammate an express run through here and then fend off the challenger. He does just that.
Let's see, you know, we'll find out what kind of teammates these guys are, whether or not Galati holds him off. Yeah, and he slowed down Phil a little bit there, so that, you know, you don't like to see that. I mean, that is the benefit of having 2 cars on the team. You can, you know, use one guy as a pick against another, but, you know, you also like to see a fair fight as well.
Well, McClure just pokes the nose in there, going through West Bend. And Galati says, oh, not again.
Yeah, I know, really.
The down, through the downhill turn, and onto the main straight, heading down towards Big Bend. What will McClure have for Galati here? The Corvette pulls out, but he can't get by.
Yeah, you know, it's obvious that Audi right now is got the horsepower, and I'd say pretty much on everyone. And I don't like this, because you know what? I'm sure Galati is getting the blue flag. He knows that they're racing for position. He's holding them off. I don't like that.
39 laps down already, and Bill Auberlen is some 13 seconds out in front. This has been a superb drive from the Californian. Brian, I'm sure he's delighted with this. He's been waiting to notch up his first win in these new BMWs.
Oh, absolutely, Lee. You know, I mean, he was very dejected after qualifying. I asked Dave Gahagan, his crew chief, a little while ago, I said, did you guys find the problem with the rear end of his car? And he said, in other words, yeah, they did, but he's not going to tell me about it. Obviously, the car's hooked up and going well, and Auberlen's got his head down. After that qualifying, he wanted to prove to everybody that he's got it. And guys, there's no argument down here, that's for sure.
Yeah. They've done a number of new things this year. PTG, they're using the Motec engine management system, which Tom Milner is absolutely thrilled with. These BMW M3s run on a fly-by-wire throttle system, which they had to learn about, and they're learning more each time. And I asked Tom earlier today, how is it working? He gave the thumbs up. He said it's fantastic. You'll see on the side of the car, Performance Friction Corporation, and they've developed a new brake system. They do a lot of work with NASCAR, and They've developed a new road racing system for these guys, so they've been working hard. And as you said earlier, Johnny, they're a top flight, top class organisation. We know what they've done in the American Le Mans Series, and here in the Speed GT Championship, it's starting to look good for them.
Well, their presence certainly raises the bar for everyone. And, you know, again, they start off the season, as we see, Yvette, Billy's his fiancée. They're supposedly getting married September 12th. I'll believe it when I see it. Good luck, Yvette. You know, they do a fabulous job. And again, remember, they got these cars late, so you wouldn't expect them to be strong right out of the backs for, you know, first race, second race. But they've had the opportunity to do some testing, work on the brakes on the car, and they've really improved it a lot, and it's paying off. It's paying dividends today.
There's the crew, and they are pretty delighted because that win is just half a lap away. Oberlin has won here at Lime Rock Park before. That was in touring cars. He is about to notch up his first Speed GT victory, and he has done it from last position on the grid. Just goes to show what a sophisticated and stylish driver has been. Out of West Bend for the final time. Oberlin does it from last to first. Billy is victorious. The first win for the PTG BMW team this year. And he ends the run of Phil McClure in that mighty Corvette. BMW are now back in this race.
You know, beautiful job by Bill and everyone at PTG. I mean, anytime he comes from the back to the front and win that convincingly, boy, I tell you what, he did a super job.
It's going to be a PTG 1-2 too, Johnny.
You know what? Boris ran a good race, the whole team. Randy Post holding on to third. You know, when you're under attack like that, it's not easy, and he did a super job as well.
Well, it may have been an American muscle show for the first two rounds, but the Europeans are back. BMW, and Audi fill the first three positions in this first round of the doubleheader weekend here at Lime Rock. And Stuck, although he went out early, he's pleased for his teammate. The entire team are thrilled. We'll be back to wrap it up.
On feed.
It's been an enormously successful day for BMW, their M3s and the PTG team here at Lime Rock Park, round 3 of the Speed GT Championship. Brian Till, it's time to hear from him and our race winner.
Oh, Bill Oberlin. Man, what a clinic you put on today from 25th to 1st. What a job.
Well, if you want to own Lime Rock, I guess you got to own a BMW. That's the deal. The team did such a good job. I was a little way off in qualifying this morning, and the team put it all together. I'd like to thank Brian and Dave especially. Those two guys make my job a lot easier. Tom Milner, Richard Breckus, Tom Solkowski, Tom Purvis is here. My dad is here to support me. I mean, the car was awesome. Thanks to my fiancée Yvette for the support. Finally, we do it.
The monkey is off his back, and what a performance it was. It's like you said, you want to own Lime Rock, it looks like you got to own a BMW, Lee.
Well, he went on the record earlier in the show, didn't he? He said, we will beat Phil McClure, and we will beat him over and over again, and they have done it. Let's have a look at the results. This is how they finish round 3. And remember, it is a double-header weekend here at Lime Rock. We'll have more coming up. BMW, and Audi. Randy Popes, that makes 3 third places right now. McClure was strong in 4th. He hung in there from 10th.
You know, I'm wondering if he's not thinking championship, because that's how a champion drives.
Michael Culver slipped back towards the end there. He was running as high as 7th. Justin Marks, pay him a credit as well. Top 5 result. Well done to him. We get back. Victor Contreras had some problems. We go all the way back. Hans Stuck, of course, we saw him. Anthony DeMonte went out as well. Time to hear more from Brian.
Well, Boris said it looks like the testing you guys have done between the first couple of races are really paying off, and especially with the weather here, what a gamble on setup.
Yeah, I mean, it was dry, which was great. I mean, the track was great in the wet, though. I mean, Lime Rock's a great track. I mean, it's a handling track, so the M3 is the ultimate driving machine, and I mean, it showed the big engine cars today. I mean, with our little 3.2 liter, we whooped them up pretty good. I mean, the team did a great job. Adidas came on board this year, and everyone at BMW Financial. I mean, this is BMW's home track. Tom Purvis is here watching all his employees, so it's great that we could finish 1st and 2nd in front of all our sponsors and BMW and all the great people down in New Jersey.
Well, Phil McClure has played David to the Goliath, but it looks like Goliath is finding its wheels, and the BMW's guys, they're coming on strong. Lee?
Time now to take a look at the points after round 3 of the Speed GT Championship. And you made an interesting point. Look at Phil McClure there. He is thinking championship.
Well, exactly. And, you know, he's not going to get a whole lot of weight for added to his car, his reward, as you so kindly put it to him. So he's going to stay competitive. Billy Oberlin, a little bit of weight. It'll be interesting to see how he does the next round.
We had wet qualifying. That created some headaches. We have had a dry race. But again, this is a double-header weekend from Lime Rock Park. The BMWs stood tall today. There was plenty of action, plenty of dirt flying, and plenty of tempers being raised, that's for sure. We hope you enjoyed round 3. Round 4 is coming up. On behalf of Brian Till, Johnny O'Connell, I'm Lee Diffie. Stick around, plenty more. The SCCA Speed World Challenge coming up.